Alright folks, people have been asking for a video to show off my current weapon collection, and here you go finally. By the way, I should say our collection, because some of these actually belong to Kara, my spouse. We are happily married, for those who don't know. And I feel truly like a lucky, happy bastard for having found a person with female genitalia who is actually into weapons. Doesn't seem to be that much of a common occurrence, unfortunately. By the way, the reason why I did not include any of our knives in this is that, except the Karambit here, which is actually a weapon design, but most of our knives are actually what I consider tools. They don't really belong in a weapon collection, in my opinion. That's one for another video. Okay, enough blah blah blah. Let's move on to the actual show and tell, if you will. This nice, classy old lady is the only firearm that I currently have. More to come soon, hopefully, as soon as I get my Canadian firearms license. Damn, they've been slow on processing the application. Anyway, this here is a reproduction, as you can probably tell by the condition. It's made by Investarms. It's a Hawken flintlock rifle, actual rifle, in the sense that it has a rifle barrel. Oh my god, he's pointing a firearm at the camera. Yeah, it's okay. You can clearly see it's unloaded. As long as nothing is in the pan, it can't go off. And there's nothing in the barrel either. But this is the main point. Very nice black powder muzzleloader. And I have shooting videos with this on my channel. By the way, general piece of advice before you ask any question about a particular weapon or about pretty much any topic at all, use the search function on my channel first. You know, on my channel page there is this very useful search bar. If you have a question, just type in whatever your question is about, and chances are you might find a video about that, at least one. This is not meant to be pissy or anything. It's just, it gets a bit repetitive when people keep asking the same question over and over again, even though I already have 2 or 3 videos about it on my channel. So use the search function. This right here is a Scythian horse bow made by Grozer in Hungary. Very nice traditional recurve bow. It's called biocomposite laminated bow, as you can see right there. The layers. Now come on, focus. There. Really nice piece of work. And it also shoots very nicely. I also have archery videos with this, again, search function, as well as playlist. I do actually also have my videos organized in playlists so people can find stuff more easily. So it's all there. Speaking of it's all there, also please read the video description down there. You know. Click show more and you'll see stuff that you would otherwise miss. Which, not many people read it, but I typically include links as to where you can find this stuff, if it is still available, things like that. Extra information. This here is a practice longsword made by Darksword Armoury. A so-called Federschwert, or simply Feder, which translates to feather sword. Well, depending on how you translate it, it's either feather or spring, depending. And this is a historic design, specifically for practice. Has this secondary guard here, called the Schild, which protects your hand, especially in guards like the ox, where you end up like this, and if the opponent's blade rests on your guard, your fingers might actually be cut in some situations. If you catch the blade here, you're safer. So that's the purpose of that. And yeah, it's quite a nice sparring sword. I really like the handling of it. I haven't tested it yet. It's on my to-do list. Well, I have already tested it to some extent, but I haven't done the actual review yet. But yeah, definitely a nice one. Over here is one of my favorites. This is a Gladius made by Raven Armoury. And funny thing is, I actually found this back in 2003, I think it was. I actually found it on eBay and got it for about 200 euros, I think it was, which is pretty much a steal for the quality. You know, by doing research later, I found out that this was actually made by Raven Armoury. I contacted Raven Armoury as soon as I knew the maker, and they told me that this must be one of their Gladii from the mid-1990s. So this is pretty old and still in very good condition. And Raven Armoury is in the UK, by the way. They make really high quality swords, which cost a pretty penny. Definitely worth the price, but you know, at their current prices, I don't think I could afford one of those. But yeah, very nice sword. And I also plan to make a video about the Gladius in general. You know what, let's just keep it out here so you can still see it while I talk about other stuff, because why not? Over here, this Karambit is made by Traditional Filipino Weapons. That's the name of the maker, by the way. TFW. It's double-edged. Focus. And quite a nice design. I like the handle scales here. And the Karambit in general is quite a nice weapon / self-defense tool. You can do these fancy flick cuts with it, and of course with the ring here it's pretty difficult to be disarmed whenever you're using one of these. Then we have the Valiant Armoury Zombie Slayer. You've probably seen this in my videos before if you're a subscriber. This is the modern tactical version of a medieval longsword. It still has the same handling characteristics as a medieval longsword would have, you know, in terms of length, weight, and point of balance and general feel. It's pretty similar, but of course the guard, you know, minimal guard here, that is not historical whatsoever, and neither is the grip. Doesn't have a pommel either. But it's a pretty cool sword. I actually got this from someone on the sword forum, and this, from what I understand, this is pretty much the only way you can find this anymore, because it has gone out of production. So actually, if you want one of these, you actually have to look on the used market, which is unfortunate, but I'm definitely glad that I got one of these in time. Definitely a keeper. And over here, come on. This is one of Kara's weapons. It's the Bush Cutlass made by Condor. Condor Knife and Tool is the full name, if I recall correctly. And this is the machete version of a 1796 light cavalry saber. Damn it, difficult word, eh? Yeah, 1796 light cavalry saber. And it's not historically accurate, as you can see. It's just inspired by it, as you can see, you know, by that knuckle guard and the shape of the hilt, but the hilt is completely plastic, which, yeah, doesn't make it overly appealing. It feels a bit cheap, to be quite frank, but it works, and it's definitely a nice cutter. The blade is extremely thin, as you can see right there. Very thin, very sharp. This is excellent for cutting light targets. Heavier targets, not so much, simply because it lacks the blade presence. But for light cutting, this really performs well. And it's extremely quick in the hand. You can just change direction very easily because of the light weight. So definitely less, and it's super cheap. It's around $50, $60, so very cheap for a sword, or saber in that case, I should say. Since we are already at Kara's weapons, let's cover the other two. This is kind of, well, this is kind of shared. I also consider this to be partially mine, if you will, but I mean, we are not very strict about it anyway. It's just things that one of us favors. And this is quite nice. This is a cutlass made by Privateer Armoury. They call it the Northstar Cutlass. Got this nice Northstar logo on there, on the knuckle guard. Quite nice grip wrapping here. And this is another one which is extremely light because of the very thin blade. Again, super thin, super sharp. Excellent for light cutting, and again, super agile. You can swing it all day. You can very easily, feint and change direction, all kinds of things like that. The only problem is it's so thin that it is extremely flexible, as you can see. It is ridiculously flexible, pretty much. And that would, of course, make it not very effective in the thrust. So it's almost useless for that. But again, light cutting, pretty neat. And definitely a nice looking piece. And finally, this is Kara's favorite weapon. This is called the Kumar Kobra. Called Kumar after the bladesmith. And this is the lighter, quicker version of a Siropati, which, yeah, totally wrong pronunciation, of course. I'm just pronouncing it English because I don't know how else. And that is, essentially just a very long kukri. But it's also has a bit narrower blade in relation. And this is pretty much the exact opposite of those two. That thing is thick. I mean, look at it, it's humongous. That's the thickest spine I've seen on any blade. It's just mind-bogglingly massive. Also pretty sharp. And the nice thing about the design is that, with the edge on the inside curvature, it actually gathers the material, actually draws it right into the cut. In terms of just pure cutting power, this can actually outperform the katana. And other swords can as well. Some people seem to think that the katana is the most superior cutting weapon, but no, it's not. There are other designs which are actually even more specialized for cutting. This is not an opportunity to bash the katana. It's just a fact. Just because a lot of people are not aware of that. So yeah, this thing is massive. It's pretty heavy because of the thick blade. The advantage, of course, is this is extremely sturdy. I mean, how would you damage this thing? It's just way too massive. Okay, then let's move on to Egypt, if you will. This here is a bronze Kopesh or Kopesh. I'm not sure how exactly to pronounce it. It's made by Neil Burridge in the UK. Again, links will be in the video description, like always. Just click on it, damn it. This is, I already uploaded a cutting video with this, and people were surprised at how well it cuts, because, well, it's just bronze. Well, it's not just bronze, you know. Bronze in and of itself is, of course, somewhat soft, but the thing is that the edge was hammered to compress the material, make it denser, which of course makes it harder, and so the edge retention is actually not as bad as people think. And this is pretty damn sharp. It cuts very well. So do not underestimate bronze. And then, so last piece we have a tactical tomahawk made by SOG or SOG. This is the Fasthawk. Quite a nice tactical tomahawk. Looks nice and is very functional. And I gotta say, this is probably the review that I procrastinated the most on. I mean, it's just to a ridiculous extent. I originally planned to do a review on it, I don't know, about 8 months ago or something. Yeah, it's ridiculous. For some reason, I haven't gotten around to doing it yet. And I hope to do so soon. So, yeah. That's how that goes sometimes. And finally, just for fun, this is technically a tool, but it's too hilarious not to include in a weapon collection just because it's so humongous. Yeah, this is the Stanley Fat Max, also known as the Fubar 3. And this thing is a wrecking tool, and as you can see, it is seriously large and heavy. In fact, it's so heavy that I sometimes use it as a workout tool for strength training. Yeah, very heavy indeed. I mean, I wouldn't really advise using that as a weapon. Although it would, of course, do devastating damage. The sheer impact of this would be just obliterating. But again, it's so heavy that it would take you a long time to recover from a swing. It's not very agile at all. By the way, did I actually mention that this is Kara's bow? I think I might not have mentioned that, but it is. Otherwise, I will get jumped out later. Why didn't you mention that? It's mine! Fluff you! Okay, so that's it. There you go. This is the current collection. Definitely not enough. It's never enough. And hope to be expanding it fairly soon. But yeah, that's the current state of affairs. As far as the knives are concerned, like I said, I will have to make a separate video for that. So, thanks for watching, suckers!